All right, so I've hit that record button. So good evening, everybody, and welcome once again. It's so nice that we have some folks in our Zoom room tonight. My name is Professor Kat McDonald. I am not just Northeast Regional Honors Council, but I am the executive secretary for this organization, and I am the honors program coordinator at Monroe College, which is in New York. So I'm going to pass the mic quickly over to my co-board member, Dr. Radford, so she can say hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Tanya Radford, and I am at Dominican University, New York, which is just about 20 minutes outside of New York City. I'm the assistant director of the honors program at DUNY, and I just joined the board this year as the web developer, and I'm super excited to work with this terrific organization. And I went to the conference last year, and it was such a blast. So if you guys haven't been, you're in for a real treat in Pittsburgh. It's great fun.
Awesome. And I will also pass the mic over to our other board member who's joined in, Dr. Peterkin, to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me. My name is Daryl Peterkin, and I am currently serving as the president of NRHC, and I am the assistant dean for student success at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. And prior to that, I was director of our honors college. So I'm also very happy to be with you tonight. And I second everything that has been said about how wonderful our conference is. It's really student-centered. And so we're very happy to be with you tonight. And hopefully every one of you will have a proposal that we will see next spring.
Excellent. So the way tonight is going to work, guys, is we're going to just kind of overview the process that we recommend for students to make proposals, because if this is your first time doing something like this, it can seem a little daunting, but I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. And then Dr. Radford's going to help demo and kind of show you what the proposal system looks like. Since we have moved, our programmer who puts this together has moved to a different platform. So if you're a repeat proposer, it's a whole new website right now. So we just want to kind of give you guys like a preview of what that looks like. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share my whole screen. So what you guys should see is you should see the page for the Northeast Regional Honors Council. So again, Dr. Radford, who's with us tonight, helps us to build and maintain this page. And to get here, you would go to nrhchonors.com. And where you want to kind of go for everything conference related is to the 2023 conference. And if you just click on that top part and not, the drop down, you're going to get some of the main information about the conference. So, obviously the location, which we've already mentioned, which is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the dates, March 30th to April 2nd. And then it includes some other information about our conference hotel, and deadlines and things like that. So one of the things that we're looking to do is we're looking to kind of have your proposals in our system by Monday, November 14th. So you still have a few weeks to work on these. And one of the first things that I'll say before we go any further is that always let your honors director or your honors mentor know that you're interested in doing this, because we want them to be looped in the process, and we do notify them when students make proposals, but you want to make sure that you have that backing and that support from your honors director, your honors faculty going into the process. One of the things that we've included on our website, which is new this year, is there's this little hyperlink that says have questions, click here for proposal prep tips, and that'll open up a PDF with kind of a cheat sheet of sorts for making proposals. So my plan is to go over some of these tips. And of course, Dr. Radford, for Dr. Peterkin, if you have anything that you want to jump in and add, just go for it. So one of the things that I'll also point out is, when it comes to choosing a topic, we always recommend having passion for your topic. And every conference year, there is a theme. And this year, our theme is building resilience from tragedy, understanding hate, violence, loss, and reconciliation. So actually, if you go back to the NRHC website and you go down the drop down, you can actually read that full conference theme. And Dr. Peterkin is the mastermind behind the theme this year. So I don't know if you want to say something brief about the theme, Dr. Peterkin?
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute. I will be very brief indeed. Well, what inspired this for me, some of you may remember a few years ago, there was a tragic shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh, and that just stayed with me, including how the community came together to rise above that tragedy. And that sort of inspired this theme, because what I was interested in, what we were interested in, is how do communities, how do individuals understand what happened, and what do they do to rise above it and to rebuild a sense of community, to rebuild the world that was partially taken away from them by that tragic event. And we're spreading that idea across a variety of disciplines. What you are writing or what you will write does not have to have anything to do with Pittsburgh per se, but that idea of how do we build resilience and how do we take it further than we thought we might otherwise be able to do. So that, I guess that's it in a nutshell.
No, that's perfect. So yeah, you can read through kind of some of the general ideas. And of course, when we plan these conferences, and there's going to be more to come about the actual conference itself in the coming months, but we tend to try and find speakers and other experiences that we can deliver at the conference that relate to this theme. So that's one of the first tips, is to kind of look at the conference theme. And there's another hyperlink there to help you do that. And then you have to start to narrow your topic. Now, no matter what kind of presentation you wish to give, you need to kind of think about, how can I make this more focused? How can I look at my topic through a unique perspective? And we at NRHC tend to kind of ask presenters to identify what we call a strand. So there are 8 different strands, and they're listed here. So business, economics and technology, education, history, politics and culture, honors education and practices, language, literature, and philosophy, natural sciences, mathematics and allied health, media studies and the arts, and then social sciences, which includes everything from sociology, anthropology, psychology, archaeology, geography, and then criminal justice, if you will, right? So again, on our website, our different reviewers have taken a lot of time to provide you guys with what we call strand descriptions. So if you look through, there are additional brainstorming ideas, guiding questions, thoughts that can maybe help you, be inspired for a particular strand. So you don't have to necessarily utilize the conference theme as the main point of inspiration for your topic. But again, I think this theme is very relatable to a lot of different subject areas. And if you ever have questions about narrowing your topic, do talk to your honors mentor or your honors director. And again, for those folks who are just joining in, who have joined in kind of recently, please feel free to use the chat. We are looking at the chat and monitoring the chat. So are there any questions so far? Or anyone want to jump in? Dr. Radford?
Actually, I do want to say one thing about the theme, which is a really magnificent theme and gives lots of opportunities, lots of places where you can think about what you're researching and how to connect it to an important world historical and American issue. But sometimes I think, so let me give you an example. Let's say you are doing some research on the gut biome. How do you connect the gut biome to that theme? It's not absolutely crucial. Like, you don't need to twist your research in order to connect to the theme. But as all of us who propose talks and presentations at different kinds of conferences know, if you can find a way to chime in with the theme, that's a kind of nice gesture. So when you're writing the description of your proposal, right, even just using some of the language to kind of connect thematically to the theme is enough. But finally, I'll say, if you don't see any way to connect to our theme, but you really want to come and share with us your research on the gut biome, you should do that. You absolutely should do that. It's not going to be a prevention for you to come.
That's a great point. So again, we welcome all kinds of proposals, but we do, we do work around a theme. And if you can fit into that theme, even just, on a tangent of sorts, that's more than okay. So
in this case, resilience. Resilience is your way
right.
to connect, right?
Of
The gut
course.
biome, if you can have a resilient gut biome, you're in there. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, there's lots of big ideas in this theme. Resilience being, I think, one of the most, powerful ones. But definitely this idea of understanding and building, building understanding and all of the different other ideas that are in there. So it's very rich. So let's say you have a topic, right? One of the next things that we recommend thinking about is how do you want to present your topic? Because a good proposal is going to consider your presentation format and maybe tie that into kind of the purpose of your presentation towards the end of your proposal. So we have a number of different proposal categories: academic panel presentation, poster presentation, roundtable presentation, idea exchange, and then there's performing arts and film showcase and art gallery. So again, all of these various presentation descriptions can be found in detail underneath 2023 conference presentations and strands. So we have given a lot of additional kind of insights. So the way that I think about this is it's kind of like, what's your personality, your presentation personality? Academic panelists like to talk. They like to get up in front of an audience. They like to give a speech, like a formal speech, 10 to 12 minutes, 15 minutes tops, depending on how many people are in your panel. You have a V with you, so you can have a nice PowerPoint. And you're usually placed on a panel with at least 2 to 3 other students who have similar research topics. So it does kind of run like a panel. And then there's time at the end for open Q&A. So if you're kind of like, I'm a speech giver, I like that formal presentation feel, I would like to do an academic panel presentation. For my presenters who are maybe not as into really long formal speeches, I recommend poster presentations. So a poster presentation would mean that you actually take your research and you transform it into a 48 by 36 inch poster board. And again, your honors director and faculty will understand exactly what this means. And after we go through proposals and we do notifications, our board members, again, will be hosting presentation prep sessions. So today's a proposal prep session, but in a few months, we'll be doing presentation prep sessions. So there'll be more information on how to do a poster, but typically posters are held in the morning on either Saturday or Sunday of the conference, and you're in a big room with all the other poster presenters, and people are kind of walking around and coming up to you casually, and you can tell them a little bit about your project, but these kinds of presentations are more one-on-one conversation based. So it kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off, but it's also challenging because you never know what people are going to ask you when they walk up to take a look at your board. The third one, which is probably one of our other most long-standing ones, is called Roundtable. So the name gives away a lot of it. This is, you're sitting at a round table, so you have a more intimate audience. And while you would give some formal remarks and kind of tell the people about your project, most of the time that you have with those folks should be spent engaging in conversation. So asking them questions, getting their ideas, maybe even bringing along some sort of little interactive activity to do at the table. So roundtables are interactive. They're kind of the midpoint, I think, between academic panels and posters, in terms of presentation. Some other ones that might be interesting, that I'll just briefly go over. We do something called an idea exchange. Now, what I'll tell you, I don't see any other honors directors in the room tonight. And if there are, I apologize, and please feel free to identify yourself. But oftentimes honors directors and faculty like to do idea exchange presentations because idea exchange is meant to be about great ideas that are happening in your honors program. So do you have an awesome newsletter at your honors program? Do you have a really great orientation offering that you do every fall? Is there a mentorship program that you could, share with other people who come to the conference? So honestly, as students in the honors program, and maybe as honors program student leaders, you might have an idea for an idea exchange on how to kind of advertise and share some of your best practices from your own home program or college. Performing Arts and Film Showcase. So this is, as the name suggests, for anybody who is a filmmaker, singer, dancer, musician. Last year was our first time ever doing the Performing Arts and Film Showcase, and we had some awesome music that got played, some really cool documentaries that were screened. And it's not a full screening. It's only about a 10 to 15 minute window you get to do the performance or the screening. But then again, there's also time to discuss like your vision and your motivation and what your piece is all about with the audience. So that was a really successful first time last year in Philadelphia. So we're really excited to bring that back again this year. And then finally, if it's not live performance or film, we also do an art gallery where if you are a painter or an illustrator, either hand-drawn or digital art, sculpture, anything that kind of fits into almost kind of the fine non-performing arts would fit into the art gallery. And the art gallery, again, we set it up like panels. The artists get to kind of show off their work and then talk to people about their, answer people's questions. In addition to kind of the formal panels, there is a Friday night art show. So you get to put your artwork on display for the larger conference on Friday evening, and then give kind of a formal presentation about it sometime during the day, usually on Saturday. So we have all these different things. So I feel like there's something for everybody in terms of a presentation format. And again, when you're selecting your presentation format, choose the one that best suits you. And again, if you need guidance or you have questions, you can always reach out to your honors director, but our email address is literally Northeast Regional Honors Council at gmail.com. You could always reach out to us. I monitor that email address, and if there's something easy that I can answer for you, I will certainly be more than willing to kind of help out. So I see that there's a couple things. So Dr. Radford's been answering in the chat. So that's perfect. Thank you so much. So then the final step before you're ready to submit your proposal is to prepare an abstract or a summary. Abstract might be a little bit of a misnomer, but ultimately what this means is you're going to write a 300-word description of what your project would entail. Okay. And it should be no more than 300 words. You can do less than 300 words, and it should describe your presentation's focus, relevance, and goal. And again, this is a step where you should always have somebody else like proofread the work and kind of give you feedback before you submit. But in our opinion, great abstracts have the following. So you should provide some basic context and background on your topic. However, don't eat into your word count by giving us a definition of something, right? You can kind of go a little bit more in depth than a basic definition to start off. A thrilling statistic or, fact or something that you've come across that inspired your topic would work really well. Your abstract or your summary here should also have a clear purpose. So this presentation will do what? And the way that I teach my students about this is, what do you want the audience to get out of your presentation? Like, what should the audience walk away with? So if you can kind of have that vision in mind now, include that in your summary. And of course, we recommend good writing, minimal in terms of grammatical errors, using third-person voice. And if you have taken information, a statistic or something from a source, saying something like according to, the most recent US Census, right? That's more than adequate. We don't expect a references page or anything like that as part of your proposal. So those are kind of the first few steps. And again, really the brainstorming process and the selection process of your strand and then your presentation and then drafting your abstract should be your focus right now. Because again, our CFP is open. It will remain open for another several weeks. And the other thing that I'll just say, like as I'm thinking about all of this and thinking about writing these summaries and these proposals, is if after you submit this, your idea kind of like changes a little bit, don't panic. All right. The way that I tell my students sometimes is like, you have this great idea, but you're not going to finish the project by November 14th, right? So in your abstract, if you want to leave a little room for growth, right, in your exploration of your topic, feel free to do that. Okay. You know, because the abstract is not meant to be something that you keep, you know, in you know, stone. It doesn't set you in stone. But you want to, if you do think that there's room for growth or maybe change, to kind of, you know, address that and talk about your idea in broader terms, if that makes sense. So that is what I wanted to go over so far, and I'm sure I'll chime in some more, but I'm going to pass the mic over. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Radford, who will walk you through and kind of just preview to you what the CFP system looks like. And the only thing that I'll say is that sometimes your honors directors like to do this part for you. Like, you send your proposals to your honors director, and then your honors director puts it into the system, or sometimes the honors directors let their students do that step. So just, again, always check with your honors director before moving forward. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Radford.
Okay, before I show you guys the new submission system, does anybody want to ask any questions before we shift gears and look at the site where you'll post your proposal? Okay, if any questions come up, feel free to post them in the chat, and my colleagues will keep an eye on that. So I am going to share my screen. Hold on, first I gotta. Why does it always happen that you can't find the right? Okay, hold on.
You would think that we have this Zoom thing like down better by now.
You would think so. You would think so. Now I can't make the share thing go away so that I can find the right screen. It's crazy. Okay.
So Elliot has a great question in the chat while Dr. Radford's getting that up. So you'd want to have your project and presentation prepared like before arriving in Pittsburgh. Usually you'll work with your honors director to put the whole thing together and to rehearse and to do all that good stuff. So again, you know, if you're only in idea phase and kind of prep phase right now, that's fine, because again, what you're writing is really kind of your vision for your project. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to start out on the NRHC page. Is that what you guys are looking at?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thanks. So from this same page, right, whether you go into the information section under 2023 conference, or you just click right around where it says apply, it will take you to the proposal submission site. So now you should be looking at a screen that is white with some orange at the bottom, and it says Northeast Regional Honors Council at the top. This is the portal for making your submission. And at every phase, on every page of the submission system, you'll have information to kind of guide you through. And also, you should know at the outset that you can start your proposal, create a login, and put in basic information, and then log back out and come back later to, for example, submit your actual proposal, your abstract. So as you see on this first page, we run you through again the steps that you want to take as you go through this process. And at the bottom of the page, this first page, that is where you will set up all of you are going to be first-time users. So the first time you visit this site and begin the process of submission, you're going to create a login. So I've already done that, which is good, because I created a super complex password that they gave me like extra stars for it being so complicated that it would take somebody 100 million times to guess what it was. So they loved that password, but then I couldn't remember it myself, so I had to reset it. And that is possible, right? Like if you can't remember your password, you can always click on this and it will send you a link so that you can reset your access key. All right, but I made one that I could actually remember, so I'm going to log in using my password and username. Then the next page gives you some basic information. So I already put in my name That was the very first page, and so you're missing that. But the very first page will just ask for your name and your school, and then it also asks you for your role, and you're going to put student in for that. Once you do that and click the OK button, then the next page is this page. Here we go down at the bottom. So the first phase is really just to put your name in. And at that point, you can leave again and you have a password and you can come back in to add more things. When you're ready to start your proposal, you're going to click this green button down here at the bottom. And then from here, things should be relatively straightforward. There will be a series of screens that ask you for particular kinds of information. You'll input that information and click submit, and it will tell you once you're finished. It will tell you if you're missing information. And obviously, if you ever run into a problem when you're making your submission, reach out to us at the NRHC Gmail account, and we will help you to problem solve. But we've had several submissions already and things seem to be working pretty smoothly. Somebody asked in the chat about whether or not your title for your presentation is part of the word count. And no, it is not, because there's a separate box here. So you could put in a proposal. Say I've got a title, and then the next step is to choose the presentation type. Kat talked a lot about the different kinds of presentations. So before you made the selection on this, you'd want to decide what kind of presentation you were going to do. Let's say that I'm going to do an art gallery submission. We also have the descriptions of them again here in case you need to remind yourself to make sure that you're choosing the right one. And in every case, on every page, when you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll find an orange submit button. Once you click on that, it will take you to the next set, right? And as you can see at the top, right, you have a task list that sort of tells you where you're at in the process and things you need to do, and what you've already input, right? And then here, right, I can go into add the details. So I probably should do these so we can see what happens next. And when you get asked if you want to be a moderator, if this is mainly for panels or roundtable presentations, but we do need people who will essentially coordinate the discussion. So if you're willing to take that role, there's a little description of it here, then you can say yes. And if not, just say no. Okay, and again, we've come back to this page. Now see what happened. I have a kind of to-do list at the top, and then I have this list of tasks, and I just finished one of those tasks and I've got a check mark. So that then reminds me that I haven't yet done number one, right? I have a proposal, and then I have to answer a few questions, and then here is the place in which I'm going to describe the nature of the artwork that I'm proposing for inclusion in this, this part. So I'm just going to put something in that is a nothing. And again, see now the next task has been clicked off. Let's see, I'm not going to upload an image. Well, actually, I'll just show you what that part looks like.
And that's optional if you want to do an art gallery, guys. You don't have to have an image at that point. You know, it's just if it's something that you've already created and you want to show it off, feel free, but that's not a requirement of the art gallery.
Thanks for adding that. But you will want to go into each one of the task lists, because even though you don't absolutely have to put in a picture, you will want to put in the title. So you won't get a check mark until you fill out any boxes that have those orange asterisks next to them. Okay. Probably should have picked a different, oh, and now I got an error message. Ah, Kat, that might be wrong. Well, let's see what happens if we just go back to. Sure, okay. Go back
Good to know. Good to know.
Yes, it is good to know. Okay, and the final task in this one, and notice that because we didn't upload an image, that hasn't been marked as complete. The final thing for any of your proposals is going to be to add your honors director's name. And so this may seem a little bit strange because, especially if you don't read through the directions, there was no way to say add honors director's name. It would only let us say add new author, but that new author that you're adding is actually the name of your honors director. Okay, so unless you are presenting with a companion, in which case you could add a second author and then also add your honors director. Okay, I think on the basis of that, you have a general sense of how the submission system works. I'm going to stop sharing to see if anybody has any questions about that.
So there was a question from Cecilia. She asked if, in terms of, presentation. So for ID Exchange, it can be a single presenter if you're particularly asking about ID Exchange, but you can have co-presenters. My advice is when you enter co-presenters in, they should be co-presenters who are actually planning to be in Pittsburgh. We've had times where, and our system will let you add up to, I've seen co-presenters with presentations with 5 co-presenters. But then when we look for a registration, only the one person is registered. So if you're going to add co-presenters, it should be somebody who will actually be presenting with you in Pittsburgh. But as Dr. Radford said, on that screen, even if you're single, always add your honors director to that final add authors page. And then if you have other students who are working with you or co-presenting with you, then add them as well. So yeah, hopefully that clarifies your question.
I just wanted to ask a little follow-up questions. So if I have no idea if we would actually do this, but say I'm wanting to come with another honors student and one of our grad assistants for some event we put on every semester for the ID Exchange. Would we then each submit each other as a co-presenter in our submission, or would it be one submission and who gets to be the main person who submits it and who's the co-presenters?
So whoever creates that user account will be considered, I guess, the primary presenter. And then you would add your colleagues in that final screen. So it should just be one proposal for everybody, and not that everybody submits the same proposal, just in different variations.
That space where you have the opportunity to add an author, that would be the place where you would, right? You'll have one person starting it out, and then you'll add other authors on that screen so that it's clear that there's a group.
So Jessica, so again, that's what I'm saying. So if you have multiple co-authors, but they're not planning to come and represent in Pittsburgh, I wouldn't list them on the proposal, just because again, what we do is once we accept these proposals, then we're looking for the people whose names are on them to also register for the conference, right? But if you're doing a presentation and you want to credit your colleagues, you can do that, whether it's on your poster board or in your PowerPoint. And you can give those people that acknowledgement. But for the purposes of our system and the way that we think of it is we want the presenters who are going to be planning to be in Pittsburgh to put their names on these proposals. But that was a great question. Other questions? The other thing that I'll just plug today as well, while people are marinating on questions, is, we also have a student activities committee. So we will be sending out more information about that. We have 3 student representatives who are helping to plan various student events that will take place throughout the conference, but they will be looking for assistance from other students. So we pass that information along to your honors directors. But if anybody's interested in the student activities committee and helping plan student events in Pittsburgh, again, you can use that Northeast Regional Honors Council at gmail.com. And I can forward you the form to fill out for expressing your interest in that. I don't have it presently available on my computer. Otherwise, I'd stick it in the chat. But if you're interested, send me an email. And then we say, okay, if we change our mind about a topic or medium. So yeah, if you had real doubts, you could always reach out to us and we're able to go into the system and I think we can go in and probably delete things or remove that proposal if you needed to submit a brand new one. So yeah, so if there was something major like that, definitely reach out to us and we can make adjustments for you on our end as needed.
And if it's a change that kind of happens in the moment, for example, I went back to the initial screen of my proposal and changed it. I could use the drop down to change it to a panel presentation, which then gave me different kinds of boxes.
Yes.
Instead of the box for describing your artwork, it gave me a box for uploading my abstract.
Right.
So you can make changes until it's officially submitted. You can make changes all over the place. So one suggestion might be to log in, put in some information like the base information so you have it started, then work on your proposal, show it to your honors director and get some feedback. And then go in and add that in and leave one thing undone so that you can give it one final check-in before you submit.
Yep, that's great advice. Yeah, so the thing is, once you log into the system, you don't have to do it from start to finish. You can kind of go back and forth and marinate on things and take your time. And as long as you're in before that deadline, you have nothing to worry about. Getting it in early does not advance you in any way. So we don't start looking at any of these until after the proposal deadline. There was a question in the chat about what if I did the student activities committee, could I still present? Absolutely. So that's separate and apart from viewing presentations, but I just wanted to plug it since there are different ways for students to get involved in NRHC, not just giving these presentations, but doing something like student activities committee. Also, your work that you do for this conference could be considered for our journal Illuminate. That's one of the drop downs as you go through the proposal system. So there's all sorts of ways for you guys to get engaged with our organization. But, I'm looking at the time. I can't believe it's already been like 38 minutes since we got started. It flew.
Kat, do you want to talk about which categories where you can't present in all of the multiple categories, but if I remember correctly, you can submit.
Yes.
Which are the ones where you can do two?
So typically we only you should only be submitting like one formal proposal. But if you're somebody who's like, okay, I definitely want to do, let's say, a poster presentation, but you're also an artist and you'd like to be part of our art gallery on Friday night, you could that's the only circumstance where you can submit two proposals. So one where it's like, I'd like to do a formal presentation in an academic category, whether that's like, let's say a poster or an academic panel or a roundtable. But that you're an artist and you'd like to show off your work at the conference. So in that case, you could also submit an art gallery proposal, since that's kind of a separate day and a totally separate kind of event from giving presentation. So that's the only kind of double dipping that anybody can do. Like you can't say, I want to do a poster and I want to do a roundtable. It's you only get one, because our conference tends to attract, upwards of 200, student presentations that take place over the course of our conference. So we have a lot of folks that we want to accommodate, lots of knowledge that we want to have shared. So that's why we try and limit it to just the one formal presentation per person.
But if you're an artist, we hope you'll share your work with us. Last year, it was a really neat art gallery. I really thought that there was some amazing work on display.
And if you're like, I'd love to do the art, but I don't know where I get started, we usually do an additional call for the Friday night art show later on in the process. So if you're not sure, you're like, I'm toying with the idea of art, but I'm not sure, go with your other idea for right now, because we always recruit more students for that art show on Friday night, even after this November deadline. So there'll be more opportunities. And again, as you guys start to get your proposals accepted, the student representatives will be using the email addresses that you provide to reach out to you guys with more conference news. But again, tonight's session was more just about the proposal process. And again, my advice and what I tell my students is, it's not like NRHC is a very friendly, student-centered organization. there's very few students who graduate college being able to say, hey, I made a presentation at a professional conference. And that's what we offer to you guys. So, take advantage of this amazing opportunity. If you have questions, again, feel free to reach out to us. But I want to thank Dr. Radford and Dr. Peterkin for joining in tonight. And we will be making this recording available shortly in the coming days. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to say thank you so much, and I'll pause the recording here.